GTA 6 is just around the corner, and what better time to talk about trailer 1 than now, specifically a year later. Today's video, believe it or not, the title is Overanalyzing Trailer 1 year later. And maybe, we might learn something new now that it's been some time. Link to the original video down in the description below. If you like the commentary we have here and reactions that we have on this channel, consider subscribing because inevitably we're going to be reacting and commenting on everything GTA 6 before and after its release. That being said, I also have a playlist down in the description below if you want to check out all my videos and all my reactions. I know I'm speaking Japanese. Let's get into it. And when I ask questions, consider commenting down below. Let's get into it.
Well, it's officially been 1 year since we got trailer 1 for
1 year.
GTA
It's been
6,
so fast.
and we still don't have
Happened so
trailer
fast.
2 or screenshots or anything really. So I figured let's do one final look at trailer 1, especially since I never did a comprehensive video on it when it first came out. And to be clear, I won't be looking at every single clip in the trailer, but I will cover about 95% of it.
Which is fair, but also I think people need to understand, I'm going to put some context here. The only reason why we got trailer 1 at the time that we did was because of that account leaking it to promote crypto, which I thought was really stupid. Imagine of all the things you could promote, crypto was the thing you did. So stupid. Anyway, yeah, that's why we got it, really.
So the trailer starts out with this rising shot over a bridge and this beautiful sunset. In the background here, we can see what we can assume is maybe the prison we see Lucia in a few clips later. This is probably a water treatment plant. And if we look at the power lines, we see birds perched on them. Up in the top left, we have the skyline for what is probably Vice City, considering how massive it is.
Yeah.
And we also have this radio tower, which will probably be a fun spot to climb and then parachute into the...
Oh my gosh. Imagine the view on that. I'm assuming they're going to have first person again since they added that. But imagine going first person on that and like looking down is going to be crazy.
Prison from. On the bridge, we can see a lot of variety in vehicle types and models, and one thing that stands out to me is the variation in headlights on all of the cars. Not only is there variation in headlight tint, but also in headlight intensity. You can see here that the blue car on the left has more powerful headlights than the red car on the right.
I mean,
down in the water, we have a boat,
which
which is a great sign of just how populated this world is going to be. I don't know if I ever remember seeing NPCs driving boats in the rivers in GTA 5, but I could be wrong.
There was plenty. There was a lot.
Outside of the prison with a close-up on the barbed wire fence, and there isn't really much to say about this. We obviously have more of this beautiful sunset, but we also get a closer look at the birds flying in the sky. The only other thing notable about this scene is just the framing of the shot.
Gosh, yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or the show Orange is the New Black. I hope we get some like Orange is the New Black style gameplay where we're in prison as Lucia. Like we get some prison storylines. That'd be cool. That'd be so funny. It'll be awesome.
We're positioned in the prison yard looking out. This could be a way to show Lucia's perspective, because she's in prison. But it could also be Rockstar withholding a better view of the prison itself. My personal theory is that because of the 2022 leaks, I think Rockstar is avoiding as much of the unleaked material as possible, at least in this trailer. And since we never saw the prison in the leaks, they're keeping us in the dark about what this prison looks like and even how big it is. Next, we have Lucia.
Which the leaks didn't really... It had a lot, but it really didn't have a lot. A lot of it was so early stuff. Like it was so early and technical that it really didn't have too much.
In her cell looking out into the prison yard. There's actually a lot of interesting things happening here. First of all, the lighting coming in from the window looks amazing here.
Yeah.
Notice how the shadows on Lucia's jumpsuit reflect the diamond pattern on the window.
Yep.
And looking out the window, we can get an idea as to how large the prison is. From what we can see, this is a large yard.
And you can see the texture on her clothing.
A table is right there, and who knows what else is out there. Maybe some activities that we could do in game. That is, if we even control Lucia in the prison at all.
I hope we do.
In the prison cell, we have Lucia turning around, and we get our first 4K.
Oh, you see the pictures on the bottom right?
Looks like. The first time I watched this trailer, the thing that immediately stood out to me in this clip was Lucia's hair and the way it moved naturally when her head and body turned around.
Yeah.
This looks great, but we get plenty more examples of this later in the trailer. We also have some photographs
Oh, he
on the
pointed it
wall under
out.
the bed, but they're pretty difficult to make out in full detail. This picture looks more like a group photo of GTA Online characters than anything, but this person could possibly be Lucia. But
Yeah,
like I
good.
said, it's impossible to tell. If it is Lucia, this could be a photo of her with her friends or family,
Or it
but
could be
this
a
could also
bunkmate.
be a photo belonging to Lucia's cellmate since we
Yeah.
see another photo on the wall with the top bed. This photo also looks like it's a group of people, but it's too dark to make it out. We then move to this shot of Lucia talking with Stephanie in her office, still at the prison. A lot of the speculation is that this scene in game is when Lucia is set out early for good behavior or something, but story speculation is a topic for another video. There isn't a whole lot to note from this, but I will say that I like how much stuff is on the desk. It just helps
Mm,
to add depth to the world
yeah.
and make it feel more real. One detail about Stephanie that I think is cool is that her badge is separate from her clothes so it has independent physics
Oh,
as she moves her body.
yeah.
She's also slightly moving her chair as she moves, which is another cool tiny detail. When it cuts to Lucia in the office, her head moves and her hair moves naturally in response to that. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to shut up about how cool it is that hair has physics in this
Ow.
game because the variety in hair in games has been so bad for so long.
No, it's actually true. And it's funny because, like, I, I, one, did not like Dragon Age of Veilguard. I'm sure a lot of people didn't. But one of the things, ironically, they did really, really well was hair. Hair is hard to do in games. It's absolutely one of the hardest things to do because either you get it to look right, but it doesn't move right, or you get it to move right, but it doesn't look right. So now this is a cutscene. This is a cutscene, obviously, but I mean, it being Rockstar just shows that they attention to detail, so it's probably going to look good in the gameplay too. So I just think it's worth acknowledging too. I don't think it's a bad thing either.
Most games just give characters with long hair ponytails, or it's a bun, or they just give them short hair because they can't do proper hair physics and don't want
True.
their hair to be clipping through their body the whole game.
Yep.
Anyway, very cool. Very excited for there to be more variety. Something that is also very notable in this office scene is the way the camera moves. Notice how it is not stable like a handheld camera shot. This is the same way it was in GTA 5 during cutscenes. I think it's very likely that what we are seeing here is taken directly from an in-game cutscene, and based on this, it seems like we're going to be getting a bit closer to GTA 5's cutscene style than Red Dead Redemption 2's mostly cinematic cutscene style.
Yeah.
Next, we have arguably one of the more
Which I think honestly, to be honest, is probably better. I love Red Dead 2 and Red Dead, my favorite games of all time. But the reality is, something about being able to like when something's cinematic, like for example, Red Dead, you're seeing a physical character, like your character move around, and you don't really know when it's gonna end, and so you always have to be ready. But you're watching, but you're also kind of in the back of your mind being like you have to like be ready. Whereas like with these scripted cutscenes, like you're able to know exactly when you're gonna about to be out of the game or be out back into the game. I mean, if that makes sense.
iconic shots from the whole trailer, the rising camera shot going from the ocean to the Vice City skyline. Now, there's a lot to discuss from just this one shot, so let's get started with the first frame. Here we get our first glimpse at wildlife in the game as we can
Oh,
see turtles at the bottom, and then we can see
hunting
some
is gonna be
dolphins
crazy in this
and a
game.
shark here. And of course, more birds. We also see 2 boats and 3 jet skis in the water, which I'm pretty excited about because it felt like it was rare that we saw this much activity in the water in
I
GTA
know.
5. I'm looking forward to riding a jet ski out into the ocean and stealing someone's boat. We also see a bunch of people standing in the water, but
I
curiously,
hope the
none
boats
that I
actually
can
have
see
really
are
good
swimming.
interiors.
Maybe that's something that they're still working on. I don't know, but hopefully we see that in the next trailer. On the beach, we have a ton of chairs and umbrellas, which will be a ton of fun to plow through with a car. And
Oh
I'd also
God.
like to point out how these umbrellas and chairs clearly belong to different hotels or companies. I'm assuming these are rented out by the hotels because they line up pretty well with each hotel
But
here.
look at all the
I'm only pointing
trees
this out
too.
because this is just another level of detail that wasn't completely necessary for Rockstar to do, but they've done it anyway. We also have 3 vehicles driving on the beach, and they each have particles coming off of the tires
Yeah.
from the sand. The tires are also leaving their mark in the sand, which is another great detail. This next shot is
I do want to point out the trees. I think one of the things that I felt like GTA 5 was really afraid of, which GTA or Red Dead wasn't, is trees because you add shadows and sometimes shadows can take up a lot of processing power. So we in the shot just before, we see so many trees, so it's cool to see that Rockstar is not afraid to give you shadows or give us shadows. Sounds weird to say, but like it's true. Like a lot of games don't really want to give us shadows.
Completely necessary for Rockstar, and they each work in this. And based on the camera movement, it seems like the camera is traveling down a road. And based on the mapping project, this shot doesn't even take place on Vice Beach, which makes me think that these buildings are going to be all along the beach, even
Hmm.
outside of the Vice Beach strip. I initially assumed these buildings were all hotels, but the mapping project has them labeled as apartment buildings, which
Or
is just as
condos.
likely, I guess.
They're
On
probably
the left, you can
condos.
see a barrier gate, which I'm assuming is for the metro line that's going to run throughout Vice City. And on top of the building, near the glass railing, we can see people standing and talking with each other. Some are even holding on to and leaning on the railing. It seems like places that you would expect to be populated will be, which is a huge step up from
Thank
what we had in
goodness.
GTA 5. I feel
Yes.
like GTA 5 had pedestrians walking down the streets, but beyond that and the pier, other places weren't very well
It went
populated.
empty and
Up
you
in the
couldn't go
sky, we
inside.
have a massive plane. I don't know enough about planes to confidently ID this, but it looks like a standard big plane you would get
Where's all
on to
my
fly
pilots at?
somewhere. I think that would be known as a passenger plane, but it could also be
It could
cargo.
be our
I
GTA
don't
Online
know.
character
All
landing.
I know is that it's a big plane. The next clip we have is probably somewhere in the
Oh,
swamps
this is
of
where everyone
Leonida.
wants to be.
We have an airboat traveling down a river and a bunch of birds, or maybe they're ducks, flying away in response to it.
They're ducks, I
If we
think.
start at the first
I
frame
mean,
and
birds
watch
are
this one
ducks.
specifically, we can see it is on the ground and begin to fly away. Now, we don't have the previous 20 seconds of this guy's existence recorded, so we'll just have to assume that birds will react and respond to what is happening around them based on this. On the airboat, we get
Which what he means, it's like, did they just magically spawn out of the grass, or or were they sitting there and then they run away? If we're basing it off the tech in Red Dead, they were sitting in there. So I doubt they would go back to just spawning animals out of nowhere like that. When in Red Dead 2, you were able to see them there and then leave.
more great hair physics from the person sitting in
Jesus,
front.
yeah.
Next, we're taken to a less foggy water
Flamingos.
locale where our main attraction is wildlife. In this one scene, we have flamingos, ducks, alligators, cranes,
Yeah, of
ducks,
course.
and deer. And not much else to point out with this one. Following the clip of all of the wildlife,
This is the thing that got, I think, everyone the most excited, was because the people's imagination of seeing how many NPCs can be in any given area is going to be crazy. Because like, look at something like Cyberpunk, where it was like, oh, look at all these NPCs, and then when the game came out, there was absolutely zero NPCs around, and then it was like, well, we just got lied to. But the studio that could probably pull this off is Rockstar. So seeing something like this is what gets everybody excited. And I think it was justified that everyone got excited. So, but we'll see.
we get a different set of animals to observe with this shot on the beach with all of these
Oh,
people
the little
doing
Chihuahua.
different things. The biggest thing here is the groups of people that we have instead of just one or two NPCs wandering by themselves. Up front, we have a group of three women walking down the beach, and to their left, we have a man applying sunscreen on this woman's legs.
Amen, brother. Hey, get that chocolate. I'm just kidding. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with a little chocolate. You know what I'm saying? No, but also, I don't know if you noticed it, but the girls have different body types. This is another thing too that's really interesting. I mean, they're similar, but they're very, very different. Like they're different proportions. Like one's skinnier, one's a little chunkier, and the other one's a little chunky. You know what I mean? Like it's not bad. It's pretty cool.
Women walking down the beach, and to their left, we have a man applying sunscreen on this woman's legs. Directly behind them, we can see two women under the umbrella relaxing. One is on their phone, and the other is reading from a book or magazine.
Makes me think that the larger one was on the phone or a tablet. It looked like a phone. It just looked like a phone.
And if you look at the other people laying under umbrellas, you will see that most of them seem to be on their phone too. In the back here, there's a large group of people standing around and chatting, and some have drinks in their hands and some are looking at their phones. In the middle, we have this couple running down the beach with their chihuahua running with them. And you can also see the sand moving behind them as they run. On the right, we have a lot more groups of people, but the big highlight for me is this guy tossing a drink to his friend. He
Yeah.
successfully catches it, but it makes me wonder if there's an animation for them not catching it. Further down on the right, we have people sunbathing, and
But
then
look how
closer to the
different
water,
they all
this
look
man
to
is
each other.
filming this woman on his phone. Further back on the right, we have these two taking a selfie together. And like
Ugh.
I said earlier, with that in the sky beach shot, we don't really see anyone swimming, but there is a guy all the way in the back that is sitting in the water.
But, like, pay attention to the clothes. Everyone there's so much more clothes now. In just this one shot, feels like you have half the clothes already in GTA 5.
So I guess that's good that not everyone is standing around. And the last thing that I want to point out here is the shoreline in the distance.
Oh
Notice how it
god,
seems
yeah.
to be populated with umbrellas just like the spot that we're at now? It just keeps going and going. It makes me wonder how much more shoreline there is behind the camera in this shot. Well, thanks to the mapping project, we kind of know. And it does go on for a bit more behind this spot, but not by
Always
much.
speculative.
This next shot takes place near the port. We see four
Oh,
boats
this is gonna
speeding
be
down the waterway
crazy.
next to these massive cargo ships. And I am praying that we don't have another mission in GTA 6 where we work the cargo ships. One was enough.
You know what's funny? I was just about to say I would like a mission on a cargo ship, but not doing the cargo ship. But the fact that he says like one was enough, I honestly, you know what? I hated the cargo ship mission or like the cargo crane thing that we had to do. I thought that was stupid. But I think I don't know. I like the idea of a cargo ship. I don't know what it is, like just being on boats. I guess more missions on boats, if that makes sense.
But I'm hoping we get some boat racing, which is what I'm thinking is going on
This is
here,
it. This is a boat
especially
race
since
for
this guy
sure.
on the right seems to be looking backwards at the other boats. But that's probably just something you do.
And if you ever played the first Vice City, or the first Vice City, what I mean by that, but is there's a whole faction that you win over by doing races for them, or you race them.
When you're driving a boat anyway. Next, we have what is almost certainly Lucia and Jason in a red convertible driving down the highway. Now, I remember this scene getting picked on by that one Twitter account a while back saying that Lucia's hair doesn't react properly to the wind.
That's
And sure,
fine,
that's true here, but I have
but
confidence that it'll react properly in the final game given everything we've seen in the rest of the trailer. But I still want to take a minute here
look at the
to
guy
talk about the
recording.
hair physics that are present because this is something that I never even noticed in the scene until now. Watch as Lucia moves backwards and her hair moves. Whatever they have done here looks incredible. Her hair, even in a ponytail, reacts how you would expect it to in this moment. I think that RDR2 is the only reason why we have this thanks to the horse manes. Another thing that moves in
That's a good
relation to
point.
what
Yeah.
Lucia is doing is her earrings, which is another cool layer of detail. Lucia's dress also
Also, look at the guy recording. Is this part of the scripted event, or is this the just an NPC looking at you? Because one of the things that Rockstar, or I guess was it part of the leaks? I guess it was part of the leaks that NPCs will actually respond more to you. So like they'll record you, they'll be more hostile, neutral. There's much more of a range of what NPCs will do to you and interact with you indirectly. And I wonder if this is part of that. I never noticed that.
shimmers and reacts to the change in lighting as the car passes by the lights, which is also cool. A lot of the time, clothing in GTA has felt static, but
It's
I feel
felt
like
trash.
RDR2 also helped push clothing forward with the layering you can do with outfits in that game. Each
Yeah.
layer had to feel like it was really there and not just a
But it
changed
wasn't
skin for
perfect
the
though.
characters, so
It
I
could
think that's
obviously be
another
better,
feature
but
that
this
is
is
getting
exciting.
carried over to GTA 6. Moving on from Lucia, Jason is in the driver's seat, and is it just me, or is his hair slightly longer than what's shown later in the trailer? I'm thinking
Can't see because my camera, but you look right here above my camera. I think so. Yeah, it's definitely. Are they putting in? Can you grow your hair out? Like naturally grow your hair out, like in Red Dead? Is that what they're gonna? Is that the dynamic thing with Jason? Is that he? You can get his. You got to get his hair cut every once in a while. It's gonna be so. I want to see what if that's the case. I want to see what happens with the Jason that gets. I'll if I when I play the game, I will make sure not to ever get a haircut on Jason, just to see what happens and what he looks like. And I say this as a personal experience because I had a ponytail for a long time, and my hair was like all the way up to here. Probably, if you watch this channel, you could probably see it. I had my hair all the way past my shoulders, so I know what that feeling is like. So it would just be really funny if you could do that. But I don't know. This is exciting.
that it's very likely that RDR2's hair growth mechanic makes its way into GTA
Yeah,
6.
I
On
hope
the road,
so.
we have this guy ahead of Lucia and Jason who's taking a photo or a video of them on his
See, I
phone.
never
I
noticed
wonder
that
if this is a
till
part
now.
of a mission or if this is just something that NPCs will sometimes do.
Exactly.
And I guess the same thing can also be asked of Lucia here. I wonder if this is something Lucia might just do if she's in the passenger seat with Jason driving. On the right, we have a truck with a ladder and some other stuff sticking out of the truck bed. I
Oh,
wonder if you can interact with any of this stuff.
or if it'll fall
Surely it
out.
goes flying off if you ram into
Yeah.
the truck and get it to flip over. And not much else to say about this clip other
Oh, that would
than
be
I like
so
the way this
annoying
building looks
driving
with all
at.
of the lights on it. And this one is kind of cool with a rectangle missing in the middle.
Yeah, it would be really cool to be driving at 80 miles an hour just for something to fall out of someone's truck bed and fucking make you crash like crazy, just like in real life. God, that would be so annoying. But yeah,
Next, we have this shot going down the street where a car meet is happening. I'm sure this is going to be a very popular spot in GTA 6's online. We also have another instance of a selfie being taken by this woman on the right, and more evidence of NPCs grouping up. Oddly enough, this woman taking a selfie is one of the first times I've noticed an NPC by themselves. I wonder if she has a designated group that she'll go back
mm,
to once she's done taking the selfie. But also, people go to things by themselves sometimes, so that's also a possibility. There's probably a lot to say about all the cars in this scene, but I don't know anything about them, and I also don't care, so I'm not going to bother with that. This guy leaning against the fence looks pretty similar to another NPC later in the trailer. I wonder if it's the same guy. This clip in the strip club is once again
my favorite clip in the street. Just kidding. Why is my camera blocking the booty? I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, look, you can see a guy with a ski mask and a chain over here. I don't know if you see that. Um, it's just something to think about. I didn't know. I didn't see that.
showing off how heavily populated the world is going to be. The strip club in GTA 5 had way less than half of the people we can see in this one shot alone. There are people in almost every inch of this shot, even up at the top on the second level. There's also just a lot going on here. The coolest thing to me is the individual dollars falling down. And not only are people tossing money from the sides, but there's also plenty of money falling from the second level. On the railing, we have this banner for Make It Rain Mondays, which has me wondering if this banner changes depending on the day you come to the strip club. And
God,
more
I hope so.
importantly, will the day of the week matter for other things outside of the strip club? I don't really have anything interesting to point out here that hasn't been pointed.
Chains. The fact that we now I'm assuming we're gonna have chains, but also being able to layer and the way you can layer clothing, you can layer chains. And we're getting probably rings like you did in Red Dead 2. And like, look, he has a bracelet and a watch. I think it's just the chains are exciting and the grills.
Pointed out already, but I'm going to use this opportunity to make a prediction that both of these men are involved in the story in some way. I
Of
just think that
course.
this guy is way too detailed to be a random NPC. I mean, just look at his skin. And if he is a
Yeah, they got it like his pores and everything. It's crazy.
random NPC, then holy, we are in for something incredible in terms of NPC variety. Alright, and for this one, I already talked about the scene in great detail in a previous video, so I'm just going to play a clip from that here. For starters, that skyline is massive. I'm really looking forward to just getting lost in this city.
Oh
But
god,
looking
yeah.
down, these balconies all look like they have something going on. Some have plants, others have chairs, some have their lights on, others don't. And on the right side, there's this walking path that leads away from the small road. I think this is interesting because it probably has utility in this fictional world for the fictional people that inhabit it.
I mean, you
I'm
can ride
assuming
bikes
this is
everywhere.
some sort of storage shed for landscape maintenance, or maybe it's just a bigger working space for those who work at the toll booth at the center of this frame. Whatever its use is, it's just cool that Rockstar has added some extra details that make the world feel more alive. Sure, you probably wouldn't miss it if this building and the path were not there, but it's the small things that help fiction feel more real. Next up, we have
This is the crazy part is when I just recently replayed Vice City. Um and I played the definitive edition because I hadn't played that one yet. And so the fact that I know where this is and just seeing how much detail it is now is crazy.
another iconic shot of what is likely Ocean Drive, showing off the neon adorned hotels and restaurants. This shot contains a bunch of high end cars and more cool instances of NPC interactions. On the right, we have a group of NPCs walking down the street, and we can see the
I
one
think
on
that's
the
a
left
quest
move
giver.
to avoid walking into the man
I
who
think he's gonna
appears
give
to
us a
be
quest.
begging on the sidewalk. This man notably has a lizard on his shoulder. In the middle of the street, we have a man taking a photo on his phone, and we can actually see what is on his phone screen, which is really cool. You also
That's
have these
crazy.
two people walking across the street. I can't tell if there's a
Oh,
crosswalk here,
jaywalking is
but
gonna
I
get
don't think there
annoying.
is one, so NPCs will jaywalk.
I'll run him
Confirmed.
over every
We can
time.
also see this TV screen on in the hotel here. The shot doesn't last long enough to see if the TV screen is actually playing anything or if it's just on a still image, but I'm sure we'll be able to watch TV one way or another in the game since this is just something
Of
that we've been
course,
able
it's
to
like
do since
iconic.
GTA 4. Across the street, we can see some NPCs sitting down at a table outside at a restaurant, which is yet another example of NPCs being much more alive in GTA 6. In this nightclub scene, there isn't a whole lot to comment on, but I have to point out the hair physics again on this woman
I'm just glad they're bringing back like more nightclub stuff.
jumping on the right. And this is one of my personal favorite clips from the trailer because it
There's
just
so
looks
much going
beautiful.
on.
I'm really excited by the idea of there being a bunch of different islands you can visit. Imagine getting a boat and just exploring all of the random islands out in the ocean. I'm sure they're going to have some cool secrets on them.
Yeah,
And then on the
little
right, we have an
coves.
abandoned bridge, which is based on the real abandoned bridge in the Florida Keys. I'm sure there's going to be some great stunt jumps we can do off of this thing. And now we've arrived at one of the most controversial clips in the entire trailer.
I love it.
I remember this being the subject of discussion right after the trailer dropped, with everyone debating whether or not this was Lucia. Now, personally,
look like
I
her.
don't think this is Lucia.
No.
I'm locking in my vote. And
It doesn't look like her, but the thing is, it's like we know you're gonna be able to customize your character. And so to what extent can we dye their hair? Like Lucia's hair. And I think that's where it comes into play, right? I want to believe it's not her, but what if you can get lip injections, BBLs, dye your hair, get piercings on your face? Because this is Florida, by the way. This is what people do over there. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's something to be said. So he said his vote is that that's not her. I am going to go out on a limb and say that that is her. That's my vote, but it's because I think you can customize her and she just looks different.
also, we have another instance of the hair physics, and I'm not going to
Looks
say anything
crazy.
else about it. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just pointing it out. In the
Awooga.
back, we have more NPCs grouped up socializing.
And we got a
I also remember it
MILF
being this
baddie on the
shot
bottom
that
right.
made me first realize how big the city was going to be. I mean, we
Crazy.
can see a ton of the city in the background here. It definitely feels like a more expansive view of the city than you would get anywhere in Los Santos. This scene also makes me wonder how many buildings have accessible rooftops like this, or I guess accessible balconies, because we don't know if this is the rooftop.
We don't need a
It
lot.
doesn't
We just
seem
need
like it is,
quite
but
a few, though.
it's certainly on a roof. Now we begin the section of the trailer with all of the social media posts. The first shot is probably my favorite out of all of the social media posts. And for most of these, I don't really have anything special to point out because I've covered most of the interesting details in other shots up to this point. I guess these posts just lead.
I mean, come on. You're not going to say nothing about the twerking and how the booty physics are real? Now, assuming that I don't know if NPCs are going to be doing that. And like, obviously, this seems like a cutscene, but awooga, awooga. Also, the fact that they're all based on real life shit is crazy.
Lead me to speculate about where in the game we will see this, if anywhere. These could just be for the trailer, but at this point I would expect it to be in the game somewhere, either as a social media post you could see on your phone, or more likely in my opinion as a random event in the world. And this one is a pretty wild scene overall and sets the tone for the rest of the social media posts that come after. It's clear that GTA 6 is going to be going all in on the stereotypical Florida man that has continued to grow in prestige over the last decade. We have a lot of cool details in this scene. We have an NPC leaning on his truck bed at the gas pump, and it looks like NPCs might actually walk through gas stations and stores and purchase things. That is, if they aren't interrupted by an alligator.
And if for those, I know a lot of you in my audience are from are international. Um, are the stories of Florida true? I would say, yeah. There's a lot. It's just they're a different breed. It's just something in the water that makes them different. I don't know what it is.
I'm
I don't know
confident
what
in
it
this
is.
because we can see someone making use of the tables in the top left,
He's just
probably
minding his
eating some gas
business, about to
station
get
food,
eaten.
and more specifically, probably eating a donut that they have on display at the front counter. I also like the variation in reactions among everyone to this alligator. You have this guy running away, this man seeming unbothered, and then this woman cautiously moving away slowly.
He's
There's
out of
also
there.
a group of people standing outside just watching it all happen. And then we have the cashier at the counter who slowly makes his way around from behind the counter, and if I'm seeing this
He
correctly,
has a
it looks like
gun.
he might be holding a gun in his
He's about
hand.
to
I
blast
really
him.
can't make out anything definitively,
He's
but
about to
just look at
smoke
the
that
way his
gator.
arms and hands are positioned. It just looks like the way they would be if he was holding a gun.
Yeah.
Next, we have body.
Oh, this is gonna be crazy. Hold up.
It just looks like the way they would be if he was holding a gun. Next, we have body cam footage of what appears to be a police raid. This is an odd one because we've never had anything like this in a prior GTA trailer. This one stands out more to me than the social media posts because this is a unique asset in the trailer. So, are we to believe that this was made just for the trailer?
Oh man, if we could be a part of police raids, I'm gushing. I'm cheesing right now. Gushing. I'm busting. No, I'm cheesing right now because it's like if we could get. How do I hold on? Give me a second. Let me put my slippers on in case I need to run out the door for what I'm about to say. I like GTA 5 because we got some like espionage, secret society, CIA, bank heist, stuff like that. We got that kind of America feel, that feel of a like the parody of that kind of America. But with being in Florida, I want the whole, the what it means to be a criminal, like a traditional criminal, like a Bonnie and Clyde story. But then maybe they end up becoming like undercover cops because we never really got like street level undercover stuff. And I think that would be really cool because it would be cool to be a part of raids or something. Like we're the ones being raided. Like how cool would it be that you're chilling there hanging out and then all of a sudden you like walk out the restroom and then like boom they bust in and you're just sitting there basically a victim because you're trying to keep your cover and then like you have to pick dialogue options to like keep your cover. You know what I mean? Like imagine, dude, like that would be so cool. That would be so cool in my opinion.
Social media posts are likely something that exists in the game on our phones, but what about body cam footage? Where in the game would we realistically view something like this? Now, I think there are two likely explanations for this. One being that we can just watch body cam footage on a website like YouTube in the game, and the other option being one of the protagonists gets an in with the police and gets access to body cam footage
Exactly.
to help them in some way for a mission. And I guess the secret third option is that they did just make this for the trailer. And then we get some more social media posts.
My
This first
man.
one at the gas station is great because
Get 'em
if we
away.
assume this is something that we could come across in the game rather than just a social media post, that means that NPCs are subject to arrest. This was one of my favorite parts of GTA 4, specifically running into people near cops and having them attack me and then watching police take them away. It was very entertaining and I hope it makes a return in GTA 6.
Or cops just beating up random NPCs. It's just so funny.
This one makes it seem like NPCs might have varying reactions and responses to you driving poorly in game, which is pretty cool. I'm thinking that it's also going to be
General
likely
Custer
that we get
Cannon.
shot at if we crash into the back of someone's car and drive away. Here we get another clip showing off the hair physics, but the biggest thing to point out in this clip is the side view mirror actually showing what it's reflecting. This is absolutely huge, and I'm assuming the rear view mirror in the car will also
Mama
show you
Jammer is
the
the
real
account name.
reflection. Now this is an incredible clip for reasons that don't need explaining, but one of the coolest parts of this clip is what is happening in the window of the house. It seems like you can actually see through the house to a back window. It's either that or a plant is being illuminated in the house. Even if that isn't the back of the house, we can clearly see that there's an interior in this house and the walls on the left move in accordance to where the camera is moving. Pretty cool stuff and makes me wonder if the rumors of tons of accessible interiors is going to be true after all. In this clip, frame 1 shows that there will be hills in the predicted flat land of Florida. Perhaps this is further north in Leonida, maybe a bit of Georgia or Alabama has bled into the map though. The police chase clip has a lot of interesting things, starting with what we can see in the first frame. On the left, we have a billboard that we have come to
For,
expect from GTA.
for
With the map being
depressants.
as big as we're speculating it to be, I can't
Pfizer.
imagine how many billboards there are going to be scattered across the map. I mean, there's a second one off in the distance that we can't see, so there's definitely going to be plenty. And then on the right, we have signs for what is probably a shopping mall. And as far
It's
as
the
I
big
can tell,
mall.
these are all new stores to the GTA universe, so who knows what they will sell, or if we can enter them and buy anything from them. On the left, off in the distance, we have something that is very reminiscent of Top Golf. I'm sure it's going to be called something
Nah.
else, but it should
Those
be
are
a
like,
fun mini game to play.
those could also be, well, is it though? It could also be power lines.
And this pan to Jason at the end of the shot is also the first close-up we get of him in the whole trailer. Again, the stubble on Jason's face is more evidence to me that the hair growth from RDR2 is going to be
Gosh,
in GTA 6.
imagine we could be like
then
hippies.
cut to Lucia,
See, that's what I'm saying. It looks just like her with different makeup.
who's holding a bunch of cash in her hand, and similarly to the money being thrown around in the strip club, it seems like the individual dollar bills have some independent physics as they all kind of move by themselves rather than as one prop. In this clip, the biggest thing for me is that all of the items on the shelves are individually modeled items rather than the static PNG texture we
Yeah, rather than being like blocks of beers, you know?
got in the gas stations for GTA 5. Next, we see Lucia and Jason driving away from, assumedly, the robbery they just did at that gas station. The main thing to point out here is the smoke and dust that comes from the car. It looks incredible. There are even some leaves that get picked up in the dust and smoke, which I don't think we've seen before.
We're gonna
also
get
some
tornadoes?
info here, and that is that this robbery takes place in Port Gellhorn. And it's also worth it to note that this is one of the only times that the streets are desolate. I mean, we don't see a single person walking around here. I wonder why that is. Is this just a part of town that no one goes to? It doesn't look the greatest, but you would still assume you would see at least
It's
one
just the
person
time of day,
walking
maybe.
around. And we finally end on the clip of Lucia kicking open the door of this gas station and Jason following behind, gun in hand. There are some interesting signs on the door, but nothing that will illuminate more details on the
Jason's just a simp. That's the moral of the story.
game. It's a cool scene and a pretty good one to end the first trailer on. I'm sure Lucia or Jason say something as they come in the store, but that'll probably be a secret until we actually play this mission in the game. So that's it. That's everything I could find of note in trailer 1. Surely trailer
God, I hope trailer 2 comes out soon. There's speculation that trailer 2 is just around the corner, but I don't think those rumors are true. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about trailer 1 after all this time. Shout outs to the original video creator. Great video. Yeah, I mean, there's some new things, but I kind of feel the same. I feel excited, but I just want the game to come out. I don't even care about upcoming trailers at this point. I just want the game. Do you feel the same? Let me know. Love you guys. Be safe. Check out the next one. Bye-bye. This video is brought to you, actually, by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.